Good day, everybody. Hope you're having a good day. I am going to give you a few of my thoughts as far as to about driving the trucks, tractor and trailer, and for what good companies. I'll give you some of my experiences with some of the other companies I work with. A previous video I did, I talked about my experience with Prime Inc. And so of all the trucking companies that I worked for, my very first trucking company, which was Prime Inc., was the best of all my experiences working with other trucking companies. Some may say that they're all the same, all truck companies are the same. That may have some validity to it, it may not. It depends on your personal experience, how you, what type of a relationship that you establish with that trucking company will determine your experience, I'm sure, with them. So Prime was my first one. But the second company I went to after Prime was US Express. US Express. I went to them. My experience with US Express, let me just give it to you first. I had finished my lease with Prime, and I made pretty good money. But the reason why I left Prime was because Prime, I was out so much, I was home with the family. So as you are a new driver, you don't really have a lot of options. But once you get some experience on your belt, then you can pretty much have an option as far as who you can drive for. So I went from Prime. I finished my lease for Prime to get some home time and filled out an application. There are several different online companies that you can fill out one application, and it will send your information to a lot of different trucking companies, and you'll get a ton of emails. But most trucking companies, after 6 months, they want you to have at least 6 months of driving experience before they'll hire you. That's pretty much the standard now. So when I finished my lease with Prime, I had sat out for, let's see, I finished my lease with Prime in like October, just before the snow hit the ground. And so I sat out for about 30 days. I was going to take a break. And so, of course, if you sit out too long with a company like Prime, they want you to go back through an orientation process if you sit out too long. So I wasn't ready to go back through another orientation. So I did my research. I did my searching for another trucking company to drive for, and that's when I came across US Express. US Express had this pitch that kind of won me, where you would drive 5 days and be home on the weekends, right? So that worked for probably a week or two, and then 3 or 4 weeks, less than 30 days into my working with them, they had an issue getting me home. So I was like, well, the reason why I came with this company was because you promised me that I'll be home on the weekends, and so I'm trying to be at home. So and what happened was, I was supposed to be going home. They sent me to a load, and I live in Maryland. They sent me to a load going to Chicago, and I ended up in Chicago. I didn't have a load to come back, so I ended up sitting at the terminal in Chicago. I told the dispatcher, I said, what happened to my home time? Because the last week that I was supposed to go home, there was an issue. And so the dispatcher told me, well, we promise you that you'll get home on the weekend. It don't mean you're going to get home Friday night. You're going to get home, which means you can get home anytime Saturday, which means it's the weekend. And I said, well, that's not what that's not what the recruiter told me. The recruiter told me I'll be home on Saturdays and Sundays. Saturdays does not start Saturday afternoon. So somebody might say, well, that's a technical. No, it's not a technical. It's a reality. If I'm going to be home Saturday, Sunday, not getting home, right? So because of that, I told the dispatcher I was handing in my resignation. I said, I'm going to leave this truck right here. Send somebody to come get it or whatever. It's right here on your property. And I handed in my resignation, got me a plane ticket, and went back home. So then after that, they put me back in the market looking for another job. And this time I said, I'm gonna look for something that I can be home daily. There's got to be some trucking companies out there that have jobs where you can be home every day. So I did a little further research and found a company called Central Transport. Now, Central Transport, don't work for them. Don't drive for Central, okay? Be the worst mistake of your life. It was a nightmare for me. First of all, the equipment, they promise you brand new equipment to drive, and maybe they changed it by now, but this was back in 2012. 2012 was all the equipment was old. They were driving doubles, and half the time the little dollies that you use to hook up the trailers to either didn't have air in them, and it's brutal trying to hook up to a doubles, and you trying to push a dolly that doesn't have any air in it. It's like you're killing yourself, right? And the dispatchers wasn't friendly. They just threw you out there, and they didn't have any lights in the parking lot. Most of the time, you go when you're going to work, it's dark outside. You're working on this platform in a blizzard cold temperature, no heat in the warehouse, and you have to work with a big old ski cap. They gave us a ski cap. I still have it somewhere in my but they gave you this big old ski cap. You put this big old ski cap over your head, you cover everything but your eyes and your mouth. Go figure that out, right? And so that was how you worked, and you worked like a slave on the dock. You worked the forklift, and you did what they call shuttle runs or line hauls, what they call line haul. And so that was how the day was, and the day was like 12 to 14 hours a day. You would do that and drive your shuttles. What I did in my particular scenario, I started in Baltimore, outside of Baltimore, Savage, Maryland, and we would go to New Jersey, do a shuttle, get up there, get out, unload. You get a forklift and you unload trailers for like an hour or two, and then you get back. Then they would load your trailer back with whatever stuff that you need to go back from the New York, North Jersey area to come to the Baltimore hub, right? Then we go back to Baltimore, Savage, and then we get in there, and then you unload your trailer. And if they needed other trailers unloaded, you would unload the trailers, and then after all the trailers that needed to be unloaded were unloaded, then they let you go. And it was filthy and dirty and nasty. You had to have a hazmat license to drive for them because they did a whole lot of hauling a lot of things. It was nasty and filthy. So but this was all night. I would report it and work at 7 at night. So you work from 7 until 7 or 9, depending on how that day went. from 7 at night till 7 or 9 o'clock the next morning. So that was really brutal to do that, to work all night. So I had been there for 6 months or so, and I was like, okay, I want to work on a day shift, because they had this thing where you had to have seniority to work there, to get the day shift, to get the what they call city drivers, okay, where you make local deliveries to different places in the local Baltimore metropolitan area, which included also Eastern Shore, Salisbury, Chestertown, etc. That would be your local territory. Okay, so but there was a lot of favoritism going on with that dispatching team there. I saw new guys come in after I had been there, that they sent out and gave them city jobs, and I was still doing line haul. So I complained till finally I had to call the regional director, and to report the regional director on the local manager there, because the local manager was showing favoritism. He wouldn't give me the day job, and like I said, I kept seeing new people come in there that were freshly new, but they was getting jobs on the day shift. So when I made that phone call, all of a sudden a job came open, right? Then, okay, we got an opening for you, okay? So I started on the day shift. I worked the day shift probably 30 days or less, and doing the regular routine, like I said, you would go deliver. You didn't have a lift on these trucks, so you would go in small areas with a 53-foot trailer. Sometimes you would have a shorter trailer, and you imagine going to Washington D.C. making local deliveries with a big trailer like that, 53 foot. So that was the day to day with Central Transport. So I ended up after less than 30 days, I ended up having an accident at the local terminal. I had backed my trailer into the door, and while I was unloading, now it's a habit of me setting my parking brakes. Somehow, when I was going in to unload the trailer, the wheels of the forklift, because they didn't service the forklifts either. I mean, we had ball wheels on a lot of these forklifts. Wheel got stuck because they didn't properly maintain the dock doors, so you had a lot of issues with holes and stuff like that, uneven, etc. So my forklift got stuck, and got stuck between the wheels, stuck between the door and the rear of the trailer. So I called over to another guy that worked in there, and he lifted the forklift out from being stuck. And so now, keep this in mind, I'm going in and out the trailer. Nothing happened. The trailer's not moving. All of a sudden, now, after that happened, right? The next time I go into the trailer slides away from the dock. It rolls out. So I goes down with the forklift, that dropped down at the bottom of the loading dock. The trailer rolled across the parking lot, and I went down with it, and I got hurt. And it was like 115, 120 degrees. It was in July, heat wave, and I thought I was dead, man. I mean, I blacked out. I woke up. They had me in a ambulance going to emergency, and kind of find out that I had hit my head and tore my rotator. I think this side here, and I had to get a rotator cuff surgery. So I was out for 7 months, 7 or 8 months, and so I was on workman's comp when I was out, right? But when I went to go back after I had been injured, they told me, they said, we don't have a job for you. I said, what do you mean you don't have a job for me? We gave your job away while you were out. Okay, so I'm still an employee, right? So what does that mean? I asked, so what does that mean? Am I still an employee? We have to talk to the manager. Now, the manager that was showing all the favoritism while I was there got fired, and he wasn't there, so some new people there. So the new person told me, he said, well, according to our records, you were terminated. And I was like, how am I terminated? I got hurt working for you. And so I said, well, since you all terminated me, I'm going to go to unemployment, and I'm going to collect unemployment. So when I applied for unemployment, Central denied my claim, and they said he was not going to pay me unemployment. So I was like, I got hurt on their job, and they are denying my unemployment. So I made a couple phone calls, and to make a long story short, the unemployment office contacted me back and said that that they are mandated to pay you unemployment. So I was like, I'm all right with that. Okay, they fired me, but wrongful termination. But I didn't have to worry about, because the unemployment was a good amount. So it was less than I was making, but it was a good amount. So I said, well, I'll use this unemployment while I'm recovering, because I still didn't have the mobility with my arm. I mean, I couldn't even put my arm behind my back. I was still going to physical therapy, so I just kept going to physical therapy. And then I went to go back to drive, and I had been out so long that nobody would hire me. So my experience with Central Transport wasn't that good. It was a bad experience, and there are some people that are still there driving for them, and I don't know how they manage to make it, but I guess they have to say it is what it is. But Central Transport, I wouldn't recommend that to my worst enemy. Okay. So after I left Central, since nobody would hire me, you always will find local people that'll hire you, because it seems like it's hard to find, especially depending on if you live in a very remote area, like where I live now. You know, it's hard. It's a small county. There's not a lot of people there. So if you got a trucking company that need drivers, you know, they got to get somebody to drive there every day. So it's easy to get somebody to work for you that lives locally. So I left, and then I started driving for a private company. I don't even think he's in business any longer. Jacob Beachy, and his trucks was just dump trucks. His trucks were just trash trucks. You know, he didn't maintain the trucks, and I got DOT more than one time, and I like to end up getting killed. Brakes had failed on me going through West Virginia, and in the heat of the summer, I had to end up quitting that job, because I like to have a heat stroke. I did have a heat stroke. It was hot, and the truck didn't have AC. I'm riding with the windows down in the summertime, 100 degrees weather with the windows down. And this particular guy was hauling for Taylor Farms, so you had to go into the refrigeration warehouse to unload, and go back to a hot truck. So that day, that's how I ended up leaving there. And I got sick, and I was sick for about 2 weeks. I mean, definitely sick. I thought I was going to die. I mean, I had chills. I got back. I was just miserable. So I'm gonna come back and do another part. But those are the three. Those are the companies that I'm gonna share with you for this time. And I'm gonna come back as I work with some other companies, and I want to give you some of my thoughts about those other companies. So Prime, U.S. Express, Central Transport, and of course the local guy I drove for. You probably will never see him in life. That company, if they're still around, it was a local company. But yeah. So if you're gonna if you want to be able to support your family and have home time, it's best for you to find a company that's local, somebody that don't advertise on the internet, somebody that just got a sign posted up somewhere and need drivers. Because there are people that need drivers all around. They don't have the money to advertise like the big dogs do. But there are a lot of local companies that you can get with, and they may not give you all the benefits that the bigger companies give you, but at least you'll be home every day. Okay? So that's all I'm going to share on this set. And we'll come back and we'll continue along with this subject with other companies. All right? Talk to you later.